Do you ever find yourself in conversations or not in the conversation, but someone has said something and you're totally unprepared with a response to
Yep.
either A, put them into their space, or B, like have a nice retort that puts that with a good answer that makes you feel confident and that you're clear and that you haven't helped somebody. Well, this is what we're going to talk about today. So, we're talking about being in those conversations or someone asking a question or saying something and you weren't prepared for it. Although there's so many situations in which you were prepared, right? You should be prepared because it is not going to be the first and it won't be the last time someone says something that is inappropriate. So, okay, well, we can talk about the inappropriate part. Do you want to talk about that, Elizabeth? And we can always talk about how it applies to the rest, like why being
Yeah, I think it's about being thrown off guard in a situation and you're not expecting it and then you don't really know how to respond in that moment. So that's what we're talking about today. And I will share something that happened to me last week. I was at an event. I was around a group of men. Obviously, I'm in construction, so there's not that many women, and a lot of times you do find yourself in a group of men. And there was they were kind of having a conversation with themselves, but I was right there, like we were in a little group. And the conversation got really raunchy and inappropriate and not something that should have been said, one, in front of me in a professional environment. It's not like it was a casual environment and they were just like, oh,
guys,
out having a drink. It was a business situation. So
right?
I just was like totally caught off guard and was like, oh
Business
my
event.
God.
Yeah.
And a comment was made like, oh, I'm sure you hear things like that. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, so acknowledge that I was there and it was inappropriate, but I just found it like I hadn't experienced something like that in a really long time. And I just found it really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. I
totally.
mean,
Yeah.
it happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us at some point and another. And Um, I saw this as an opportunity to talk about being prepared for these conversations. And it's not just in this uncomfortable conversation, but it's also when you're with clients, for instance, and then they say, or you potential clients, and they ask you something like, well, do you share your designer discount or what kind of discount do I get from you as a designer?
Right.
Right? They're going to ask this question. Or there's a scope creep and hey, can you just come over and look at the kitchen for a minute? Because I'm thinking about this. What do you think about that? And you're there for the dining room. So, and it's happened. It happens to me. And what do I do about it? It's having that practice in response to those questions. So I know I'm going to get a scope creep question. I know I'm going to get this designer question, especially discount question. So what is my answer for it? And it's preparing yourself for that time. Now, you can't, I think eventually you're going to end up like, there are only so many things that people are going to say. And in your case,
Yeah.
something that's this inappropriate in a business setting. I
Yeah.
actually don't have a response for that.
Yeah. What would you have said?
I don't know, but that would be something that now I think about it, like I'm in rooms all the time with just men.
Yeah.
When you're talking about business networking, it tends to be a lot more men. Business growth, it tends to be more men. Construction, we're in construction. It's
Yeah.
men. I don't know what I would say. Did you end up saying anything just out of interest?
I'm trying to think because they had made that comment where it was like, oh,
You probably heard that before.
yeah, something like
Yes,
that.
maybe. But
And
not here in a business,
yeah,
with
like
professionals talking about business.
inappropriate. Save that for your personal time.
Yeah. Where you don't
I don't
talk
want to
about,
hear this.
yeah, there's lots of things I say in private, and then there's things I say in public.
Yeah, it was just yeah, I just felt like it was very demeaning and really just disgusting, honestly.
Yeah. So you need to have a real good response. And we always think of those things after. That would be a really good response to
Right.
that.
You're like stunned in the moment.
Yeah. And if
You're
you don't
like, "I
have,
just hear that? Like,
yeah.
what?
Now it's gonna happen. We know it's gonna happen. People do it all the time, but, maybe by mistake, but chances are very likely they're just gonna do who they are. And then having a really great response that would work for that, such as, "That is definitely something I would never expect a professional to say in public." I was or, like, that would be good. But I definitely have no response for, that. I definitely have no response for that kind of conversation in a professional setting. I don't know what to say. Like, something like that would be good because it puts them in their place. Says that you wanna put them in their place,
Okay.
and you wanna say it's not okay, and you don't wanna start going, "Well, F you," and, "Shut the
Right.
F up," and, blah, blah. Because that isn't professional, and you wanna come across as this is how you conduct yourself, and you will not, engage in the kind of relationship where you're getting it back and forth like that. You wanna so anybody who's listening to us, any of you guys have a really good response for that, of
Yeah.
being in a situation, please put it in our chat and
Yeah,
let us know.
yeah, if you have, like, a weird situation that you've been in that you kinda were
Yeah,
stunned in the moment and didn't really know how to respond.
yeah, I really didn't know how to respond. So, did you end up thinking later about a response? Did you end up because
Just got
always later.
mad.
I always think of good things later.
Yeah, and I got mad.
You got mad in the
I
moment?
got mad.
What did you
But
say?
the more I thought about it after,
Right.
I really got mad.
Yeah.
I was like, "That was so not appropriate."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you didn't say anything at the moment.
No, just what I just kind of, like, was like, "That's not appropriate." But I
Right.
let it go right after that.
Right. Just
It was
letting go.
literally stunned.
Right.
It's literally stunned.
So, like, maybe it's even just saying, "I'm literally stunned. I'm walking away from this conversation."
Yes.
Really voicing, without anger, without attacking anybody, but saying, "This is inappropriate," and calling it for what it is in very not I wouldn't even say professional speak. "This is very inappropriate, and I'm, like" I don't wanna say I'm removing because it's on like, but I'm leaving this conversation.
Yeah,
Does
exactly.
anybody and, like, it would be, "Does anybody else wanna join me?" Because that would then put everybody else in place for allowing that behavior without saying something either. Like, "Is anybody else gonna join me?" Right? And the guys are then in that situation where they're like, "Oh, like, I'm allowing that," and it may be funny because it's the guy thing, I don't know, because I don't know what they said, but it's also like, "Okay, are you a professional and are you gonna allow this kind of behavior in your business?"
Yeah, 100%.
So those are good responses, but it's in the moment. You're like, "What? What?" I don't even know what to say.
I
But
know.
I think it's listening to yourself more and standing up for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, we wanna be nice. We're women, we wanna make everybody happy, we wanna please people,
Yeah.
and we have to look at it like, well, did they think about how they put me in a position to feel uncomfortable? Like, what is thoughtful about that? Nothing. They've put me in a position where I feel totally uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And that was thoughtless and unprofessional, right?
100%.
Right? So,
You hit it right on the head right there. That's exactly it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it is definitely preparing yourself for those conversations. And so there's other conversations like we talked about where it's scope creep. Have something written down. Write those questions that people are going to ask you and have a written script for it. What do you do about what do you do about the designer discount? Do you give me your designer discount?
No.
Yeah, sure, go ahead, but I don't. I wouldn't. Like, go to a fine dining restaurant and say,
Yeah.
can I have this at cost, please?" Like, they're gonna kick you out. Nobody's gonna ask for it. Scope creep. Just give me in some information, I just wanna see what you feel about this.
Yeah.
I'd love to help you, and that's definitely outside the scope of work that we agreed upon, so what I'll do is I'll prepare an invoice.
Mhm.
Or recently that happened to me and I said, I'll treat this as a one-off, but going forward, if there's any other thing outside of scope of work, I will prepare an invoice and we can move forward with that.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And you know what? It was so lucky. My client
Mhm.
was very, she said, "Oh, absolutely, really understandable." It just didn't occur to her.
Yeah. Well, of course. That's I guess that's normal because you're in the house, you're working with them, and so
Right, and they don't know. Right. They actually don't know, like, especially if they've never worked with a designer, right? They're thinking, "Oh, it's all in," but it's your job as a designer to set those standards, to set those
boundaries.
boundaries, to
Yes.
decide how do you wanna work.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee that the client does it to you once, they'll do it to you again and again and again.
100%. 100%.
And it's not easy to continue to enforce those boundaries because you feel like a bad guy. Like, but compare yourself to the fine dining restaurant. If you said to the fine dining restaurant, "Please, oh, bring me an extra set of fries," bring me another set of fries. You wouldn't expect them to bring it for free. So,
So, actually, I'll bring this up because I was at a kind of like a designers, like, roundtable discussion at an event last week,
yeah.
and we were talking about a bunch of different topics, but one of them I had brought up was that I had met with a client recently, a big project, they wanted to do a renovation, and he had mentioned to me we weren't even talking furniture, we were just talking renovation, but he said that he had worked with a designer in the past who gave him 50% off all the furniture, right? So I brought this up to the room and I was like, does anybody do this? Because this seems completely absurd to me, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to gauge the temperature from the other designers. And, like they said, a
Yes.
lot of designers, everyone charges differently with the design fees and merchandise. But, someone said, well, if they want 50% off the furniture, then just increase the design fee. And I'm like, but you're setting a bad standard, like to agree to something like that. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Uh, it's too confusing
Yeah,
because
I don't think that's a good idea. So
no.
I don't know. I guess people.
I didn't hear that part because something went glitchy on my side. But how many people at that roundtable actually gave away their discount? I'd be interested to know.
So we didn't go around and
Oh,
like
okay.
I didn't get a gauge from everyone, but people were making comments. Like some were like, "No, absolutely not," and then some were like, share it." But then the one person was like, "Oh, well, if they want to do that,
Right.
then you just increase the design fee." And I'm like, for 50% off furniture, like, what do you do? Quadruple the design fee? Like, it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, because you don't know, like,
There'd be no way to gauge it, and I just think you're setting a bad precedent for how we operate in this industry.
well, I agree, but I also think it sets
'Cause we don't even get percent off.
yeah, I've learned it's 15% off, right?
No.
But I think the other problem is you don't have standard procedures then that you can follow. So it becomes a like one by one by one. Like, what's
Yeah.
this case? What's that case? Do I charge them this time? Do I charge them not? Like, and the more standard procedures you can have, the easier you make it to run your business because you don't have to make these decisions every single time. You
Right.
know that the markup is 30%, 40%, 50%, whatever it is. That's it. You don't have to go, like, what am I going to mark up every time? You know? Markup
Yeah.
on this is this, markup on that is that. Because like, for me, I have different markups based on the lighting and based on,
Yeah.
the discounts I get, but I know that if the discount is this, you're gonna mark it up that much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and when I give my clients prices for merchandise, it's just one price. I don't show them a markup.
Why
I just
why would you show them a markup?
No. A lot of people do like a cost plus, but I don't like that
Okay.
business model
Yeah, they
because
do.
because I mean, I know contractors use that, but personally, I think I used it maybe once or twice, and the times that I did, I felt like the clients were annoyed because they were seeing the markup.
Right.
So I was like, "I don't like that business model. I'm just charging retail pricing."
Right, and half the time, it's confusing for the markup because if you're doing custom furniture, you've got the frame from one place. You've got
Right.
the fabric from another place. You may have trim from a third place, and then you bring it all together. I don't show the client it's one price, that's it. I'm not showing the client breaking it down as it is with, like, the 20 or 40 or 100 items that you need for the room, depending,
Yeah.
like, just breaking it down by piece, and I know um, interior designers say, "Okay, it's 55,000 for the room, and that's it." They charge 55,000 and tax, and that's it. I don't do that. I do break it down by piece, but that then itself is a lot because
Yeah.
they're like, "Okay, the chair is this and that, and why is the chair that?" I'm like, "Ugh," you know,
I know. I don't like that either.
right, but I do find it helps because there's sometimes when I've selected a piece,
Mhm.
for a client, recently happened, and when I went to price it out after the presentation, she had approved it, we priced it out, I was like, "Whoa." Their prices went up because we know pricing keeps going up, right? So
Yeah.
the price had gone up a lot. I'm like, "That's too much to spend on that piece for that space." That's too much of the budget. I knew how much the budget was, and I
Yeah.
thought, "No, we can find something that is good value, that is gonna work style-wise, give the same functionality, but we can bring that down by like 30, 40%." And I said, "Okay, look at here's the price on this, but what I wanna present is an alternative that is very
Mhm.
similar, it's just less expensive," because people's vendors' manufacturing pricing have gone up. So I said, "This is such a great option too. It's less expensive and it's gonna impact the budget enough." Like, I'm not talking about $200, I'm talking about a couple thousand, right? If it's $200, I'm like, "No." But when we're talking about thousands of dollars, I'm like, "Yeah." You know, um, I do look at my client's budget and I think about the allotment of funds across the whole like, can I spend I'm doing a dining room, beautiful table I love. Um, the budget is around whatever, 60, 65. Am I spending $30,000 on a dining table? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to because it's beautiful. Mm, but that doesn't make any sense for what I have to do in that room,
Right.
right? So I'm like, okay, yes, I love that table. Yes, is perfect.
Yeah.
I know I can find something that's going to work at a better price point for them. Now,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, if I'm like, oh my God, because there are times I've just fallen in love with things. I'm going to present, I'm going to say, look at this table is perfect, but know that it's going to up the budget,
Yeah.
and that's on you, but why have these 2 other options, right?
Right.
So, that
Yeah.
then is on the client, but yeah, I don't understand how you could just up your design fees.
I don't know, it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But the rug curator made a comment on here and said, I work with designers and create invoices that help keep pricing hidden from clients. I also create private label rugs with designers.
Okay, great. You know what? The thing is that
Private label rugs?
private label rugs, fantastic. What is good about that, and thank you, the rug curator,
Yeah.
is that when you're working with a vendor that also sells retail and to designers, that they protect the designer too.
Yeah.
Or they protect you when like I don't know how you work, Elizabeth, but there are some trades that I have, like my window treatments, my clients pay directly. And who else do I have paying them directly? I have some other trades that they pay directly that is
Yeah.
also product. And there is a markup in that, and it's their responsibility to protect me and make sure that they have covered my procurement fee in their pricing, but it's not showing. I want to make sure um that they've got my back too.
Yeah.
So if you're a vendor, like the rug curator, I would say make sure that you are protecting the designer because when someone doesn't protect me, have my back, I'm looking else.
Yeah, and I think that's true too with, companies. I mean, I don't know what you do, rug curator, but like you're saying, if you sell to the trade and to clients directly. So when a client comes in that doesn't it's not working with a designer, do
Yeah,
you give them a discount or do you charge them retail?
right.
Right? And then what do you give them versus the designer trade? Because that I feel like we encounter a lot with
Yeah.
different companies, right? Because they will try to undermine us and work directly with them.
No, so the rug curator only works with trade. So yeah, that's when they only working with trades. Yes, they can't be shopped. your pricing is secure, what you're getting, and you don't have to worry about, somebody coming and say, "I can find this for cheaper," which I've decided, you know what? If they're gonna go and find something for cheaper, they can just do the project themselves, because I don't wanna be shocked, because it took me so long to actually find the right products, the right thing to go and shop it. Well, you would never have thought about using this, you know?
Right.
So that's our proprietary, art, really,
Yeah.
by bringing everything together and the way it comes together and all the pieces, that is what is our art. Our rooms are our palette, and, our, what's that called? Our medium is our furniture, fabrics, etc. And what's our bringing it all together that really creates the project and makes it well. And so if you are going to shop that's crazy. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, important to lay the ground rules with clients up front. Absolutely. But, you gotta, again, it comes back to setting boundaries, right?
Yes.
You have to say, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
That doesn't work for me. Or do you have that in your contract, Elizabeth, where if
Yes.
some
I have it in that purchasing goes through me.
right, but if they decide to purchase something that they owe you a procurement, not a procurement, but a purchasing fee on that? Some
If they
designers,
order it on their own without me, no, I don't have anything that says that.
I'm trying to think if I do, because I do know some designers do that, where they say, "Okay, you can go and get it, but there's still a procurement fee on it." There's still the 30% or 20% or whatever it is, 40%, because that is our contract. So then you have to enforce that.
No,
Boundaries, I don't know.
I don't do that because I feel like the selection is part of the design fee, so the procurement would be separate, which actually I was thinking about this too, because I used to like, if it's full service, I would give a flat fee for the whole thing, right? Design through
Right,
procurement to
exactly.
but do you break it down? Okay, well, this is the total fee. This is for design fee. This is the design fee. And then once we get to approvals and ordering and procurement, this is the procurement fee. Break it down into two different sections, or do you not?
I don't, because I have decided that there's a very big difference between me designing it and then executing it versus me designing it and someone else executing it, because they're going to execute it and it's not going to be at the same
No.
level or for the same value as the way I do it.
Right.
And then you come back to me and say, well, it didn't look so good. Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
you didn't do it exactly what
Mhm.
was the vision. Because how could you A, possibly know that? And B, there are
Right.
so many other details that are involved in it that you didn't think of. So recently I'm and here's a great example. Looking I need some stone tops from sills and thresholds for 2 bathrooms,
Mhm.
and the contractor was delayed and delayed getting me the measurements. Finally said, so I said, I'll go over and get these standard. He says, just go over and get this. They have some thresholds over at this place. Pick up them. They have a great selection. We can cut those down and use it for the sill tops and the thresholds. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, so go over there, pick up some. And I'm looking at him going, yeah, well, if you cut this, how are you going to decide? How are you going to fix the end of it? Because on the sill, there's only one, it's a knee wall, the top of the knee wall. There's only one end that fits into the wall. The other ones have to be finished. But the
Right.
other end, when you cut it, there's going to be a cut.
Right.
That doesn't work.
Yeah.
And he's like, I do it all the time. It's fine.
Then you just leave it like that?
Well, he said he had some kind of thing
Standard.
or whatever. He says it's fine. And I'm like, look, I don't work. I don't do fine. That's, I don't do that. That's not going to work.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, we're not using this. For the
Right.
threshold, it's fine because either end is cut. So it can be an unfinished end. But for the top of a knee wall
Okay.
I need 3 ends that are
Yeah.
finished, 3 sides that are finished. So I'm like, no, not doing that. Went and did a custom thing. Now to me, that impairs your design, because that is what the original intent was, to have beautiful finished edges,
Yeah.
not barely because it looks better, but also because I don't like a cut end that is a little harsher and doesn't have the same finish
Yeah,
because
no.
it was right. So that is the difference between, so that's why I do a flat fee in from start to finish, that's it.
Finish, this is what it is, done. Yeah, that's what I always
Or
did too. I
yeah,
think
or
that's the best way.
right, the other way that I do it is, look at, if you don't wanna pay that flat fee, then we'll do hourly at $250 an hour, and then I'm gonna bill you in a retainer of 20 hours, and then I'll bill you again and again until we're done.
Right, okay.
And I can give you an idea of how much, but I'm not gonna be stuck to a flat fee.
Yeah, okay.
So, and a lot of people, some people do that. And then if they fire me at some point, and that doesn't happen, they don't fire me, but I'm like, "Okay, we're done. We're finished." We finish it, but they have to purchase more hours. I'm like, "You just need to purchase more hours because 'cause we're not done."
Yeah.
But they feel better, like, "Okay, I'm just gonna space out the payments more."
Right, right, okay,
That's more of what it is.
okay.
So, yes, prepare your script
Yes.
for these situations. So when you're talking to clients and they ask you questions and you're like, "I don't know what to say about that," write that down.
Yep.
And then when you go away, write an answer for it and practice that. So the next time you get asked, because if you've been asked once, you will be asked again.
Yeah.
And if you put in a situation like Elizabeth was, where she's like shocked, you have an answer for it. And gosh, it feels so good when you have a good comeback. Like that feels strong, and like you didn't swear, you didn't get angry.
Yeah.
Because but that just comes from practice. And you gotta, if you write it down, you're ahead of the game. Hello, hello.
Wait, so did you hire someone?
So I did, and she is sitting here today, although yesterday, because of the big snowstorm up north, my goodness, it was crazy, snow. She wasn't able to make it in, but Jen, my new design assistant, so she is like learning. Is
Yeah.
a learning curve for her, and so she did a bunch of training online yesterday and reading,
Okay.
because as you know, I'm a vegan interior designer, so people have to figure out what that means.
Is
So
she a
that was fun.
vegan?
No, she's not. But everybody will be soon, Elizabeth.
I was gonna say, she does she need to be a vegan?
Everybody will, because, it's the best thing for you,
Yeah.
your health, your planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways.
Good.
So yeah, I'm not worried about that because, eventually I will change the world. I'm on my path.
Okay. Good.
And then we went to a fun tabletop vendor presentation today. I don't know if you have them there in Naples, but 8 to 10 different vendors, fabric vendors, trim, Samuel and Son, who else? Like, who
Nice.
else was there? Fabricat and York and, a
Nice.
bunch. And they had live music, which was lovely. They had a painter, like beautiful painting
Okay.
a piece of art. They always have food, and then it gives you an opportunity to see. They had all the new introductions since Deco Off, right, was recent, right? So they had new introductions for Deco Off in Paris, right? So it was great. So we started that. We have couple projects starting, so we were able to get some samples and all. Too many pretty samples. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Okay, well, that's exciting. Good. Okay.
Now, aren't you going off to when are you going off
Um,
to Paris?
I'm going to Paris next, Wednesday.
Next
Yeah.
Wednesday. So
Yes.
sad.
I'm not.
Yeah, seriously, who's sad? Because we're not going. But okay, so next Wednesday. So we're gonna be here as we are every Tuesday,
Mhm.
usually around 4, but we're not, it wasn't 4 today, it was 3, because that's just how we roll sometimes.
I know.
We'll be around 4 o'clock. We're here, we're talking about design problems. We've got the design tea with Elizabeth and myself. We do this every week, and then we post a video on YouTube. So if you miss any of it, or you want to get more, hear us chat, you're always welcome to join us. Put your questions in the chat. DM us if you have any questions that you want us to go over. We're just talking about stuff that we do in our business, that we encounter in our business every week. And we, as sole proprietors, talk about this because you don't feel so alone in your business. And you also find, we have been chatting for years, and we also find that
Super.
super comfortable. And the support. What do
Yeah.
you do? Oh, that's what you do. Okay, this is what I would do. Oh, okay. Well, and in there is
Yeah.
Like, or sometimes, like, I'm like, "Oh my god, thank you so much for that information," because I didn't know.
And the interior design business is so different the way every designer does, their business. There's a lot of gatekeeping and people don't really talk about it. So we decided that we're going to.
We're gonna talk about it.
So hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, so we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks so much, and, Tuesday's at 4.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.